Have you ever checked your rearview mirror while driving alone at night, terrified that you might see someone sitting in the back seat? For David, that fear became a reality on a lonely stretch of Route 66, and the person in the back seat wasn't alive. It was 2:15 a.m. The Arizona desert was pitch black, swallowed by a moonless sky. David was driving his newly bought 1967 Chevrolet Impala, cruising down the desolate stretch of Route 66. He was heading from Los Angeles to Chicago, a long drive to clear his head after a messy divorce. The only sound was the low hum of the engine and the soft twang of a classic country song fading in and out on the radio. David rubbed his eyes. The road was hypnotic, endless yellow lines flashing by like a ticking clock. Suddenly, the radio screamed. It wasn't just static, it was a high-pitched screeching noise that pierced his eardrums. David cursed and reached out to turn it off. Silence returned to the car. Heavy, oppressive silence. He glanced at the rearview mirror to check his tired eyes. That's when his heart slammed against his ribs. He wasn't alone. Sitting in the back seat, directly behind him, was a woman. She was soaking wet. Water dripped from her long, matted hair onto the leather seats, despite the fact that it hadn't rained in the desert for weeks. She wore a pale, vintage raincoat. She sat perfectly still, staring straight ahead. David gripped the steering wheel so hard his knuckles turned white. "I locked the doors," he thought, panic rising like bile in his throat. "I haven't stopped for 200 miles. How is she inside?" He looked at the mirror again. The woman slowly lifted her head. Her eyes met his in the reflection. They were milky white, cloudy, lifeless, and filled with an infinite sadness. "Who are you?" David's voice cracked. "How did you get in?" The woman didn't speak. Instead, she slowly raised a pale, trembling hand and pointed straight ahead, through the windshield. David looked forward and slammed on the brakes. Screech! The tires smoked as the heavy Impala skidded across the asphalt, coming to a violent halt just inches from the edge of the road. David gasped for air, his heart pounding like a drum. He looked out the windshield. The road was gone. A massive section of the highway had collapsed into a deep canyon. If he hadn't braked at that exact second, he would have plummeted 1,000 feet into the darkness. He turned around to thank the woman. The back seat was empty. No woman, no water. The leather seats were bone dry. David sat there for a long time, the desert wind howling outside. Was he losing his mind? Had he fallen asleep at the wheel? But he saw her. He felt her presence. He reversed the car and took a detour, his hands shaking uncontrollably. An hour later, David pulled into a rundown motel in a small, ghost town-like settlement off the main highway. The neon sign buzzed ominously. The Last Stop Motel. The receptionist was an old man with leathery skin and a glass eye. He handed David a rusted key. "You look like you've seen a ghost, son," the old man rasped. I almost drove off a cliff. The road just ended, and there was someone in my car." The old man stopped writing in the logbook. He looked up slowly. "Wear a raincoat? Wet hair?" David froze. "How do you know that?" The old man sighed, a sound that rattled in his chest. "That's Linda. You ain't the first one she saved, and you won't be the last. She died on that curve back in 1985. Some say she was murdered. Her body was never found." "Murdered?" "Yep. Last anyone saw her, she was getting into a black car, a Chevy Impala, just like the one parked outside." The old man pointed a crooked finger towards David's car. A cold chill ran down David's spine. His car. He had bought it cheap from an estate sale in Chicago. David took the key and hurried to his room number 6, locking the door behind him. He needed answers. He opened his laptop and searched Route 66, Missing Woman, Linda, 1985. Hundreds of articles popped up. He clicked on an archived police report. Headline: The Vanishing of Linda Ray. Suspect: Unknown. Vehicle: 1967 Chevrolet Impala. David stared at the screen. The VIN number of the suspect vehicle was listed in the report. He pulled out his car's registration papers from his pocket. The numbers matched perfectly. He was driving the very car Linda was murdered in. Suddenly, the bathroom light in his motel room flickered. David jumped. He heard the sound of running water. He walked towards the bathroom, his breath trembling. The sink was running. He turned it off. When he looked up at the mirror, he screamed. Written in the steam on the glass were 3 letters: D-I-G. David stumbled back. Dig? Dig where? He whispered to the empty room. He grabbed his keys. He couldn't stay here. The spirit, Linda, wanted him to find something. She hadn't just saved him, she had chosen him. He ran back to his car. He popped the trunk. Empty. He checked the glove box. Nothing. Then he looked at the back seat, the spot where the ghost had appeared. He took out a pocket knife and slashed open the leather seat. He dug his hand into the old foam. His fingers brushed against something hard. He pulled it out. It was a cassette tape, old and dusty. Written on it in faded marker was a single word: confession. David's hands shook as he shoved the tape into the car's cassette player. He pressed play. Static filled the car. Then a deep, calm voice, terrifyingly familiar, spoke. If you're listening to this, then Arthur is dead. And Linda, well, Linda is underneath the old oak tree at mile marker 88. I didn't mean to kill her. She just wouldn't stop screaming. David stared at the radio. This was the killer's voice, a confession hidden in the car for 40 years. Suddenly, bright headlights flooded his rearview mirror. A massive black SUV had pulled up directly behind him in the motel parking lot. It was idling, waiting. David's phone rang. It was an unknown number. He picked it up slowly. Hello? A voice, distorted and robotic, answered. Give us the tape, David, or you join Linda in the dirt. The call ended. David looked at the rearview mirror. The SUV's doors were opening. 2 men in dark suits were stepping out. David slammed his foot on the gas pedal. The Impala roared to life, tires spinning in the gravel as he sped off of the motel parking lot, back onto the dark, deadly highway. The chase was on. The speedometer hit 90 miles per hour. The black SUV was gaining on him. David's mind was racing faster than the car. Who are these people? The murder happened 40 years ago. Why are they still protecting the secret? Think, David, think! David yelled at himself. The voice on the tape mentioned mile marker 88. David looked at the road signs. He was at mile marker 70. He was 18 miles away from Linda's body. If he went to the police, they might be involved. The people chasing him knew his name. They knew he had the tape. This was bigger than a simple murder. This was a cover-up. Suddenly, the SUV rammed into the back of his Impala. Crash! David struggled to keep the car on the road. You want to play? David grit his teeth. Let's play. He remembered the old map on the passenger seat. There was an old mining road coming up, a shortcut through the canyons. It was dangerous, but the heavy SUV wouldn't be able to make the tight turns at high speed. David yanked the steering wheel to the left, drifting onto the dirt road. Dust billowed up in thick clouds behind David, choking the air. He drove deeper into the desert, the headlights cutting through the darkness like knives.
He had to reach mile marker 88. He had to find Linda, because now he realized something terrifying. The voice on the tape sounded exactly like the senator who was currently running for governor of Arizona. If David revealed this tape, he wouldn't just solve a murder, he would bring down the most powerful man in the state. But first, he had to survive the night. They say the desert hides secrets best because the sand never stops shifting, but some secrets refuse to stay buried. David was about to disturb a grave that had been silent for 40 years, and the desert was watching. The old Impala groaned as it bounced over the rocky mining road. Dust billowed up in thick clouds behind David, choking the air. He glanced at the rearview mirror. The headlights of the black SUV